The Apple Watch is obviously highly sought after, not only for basic fitness tracking, but also lifestyle features. But can we find a viable solution for the Android users, or people who don't want to have to pay an arm and a leg for an Apple Watch? Well, that's what we're going to try and find out. Introducing the Anyloop Band. Now, I had the privilege of being sent one of these to review. I am not getting paid to make this review at all. They did offer me an affiliate commission, but just like any affiliate commission, it would basically just buy me half a taco if you decided to make the purchase. So know before we go into this that this is a completely honest review. First, let's cover unboxing. What was my experience? Overall, it seems pretty high quality. The packaging could be a little bit spicier, in my opinion, with more clear branding, but it absolutely seemed quality. Now, bear in mind, I will say that the quality was phenomenal for the price point, considering Apple Watch is outrageous, and this was about $50. Setup, including downloading the app, which they do include a QR code, which makes it simple. It is available on the Google Play Store. The total setup took about 10 minutes, including attaching the band, which is a tang buckle, basically a spring that you pull back and then you hook on the band. The cool thing is I didn't even have to charge it right out of the box. Not to mention, it comes with a charger and everything you would need to take care of the device. Specifically the band that I was sent, which was the Anyloop Band 2, which again, I think they could get a bit more creative with the name, but that's just me. Comes equipped with a 1.5-inch touchscreen, LED display, and I will say it does not actually have a GPS feature, but it does have an IP68 rating, which means it's water resistant up to 1.5 meters for about 30 minutes, and of course protects from dust. So you don't need a case for it. Basic lifestyle features like notifications for emails and texts are able to be enabled. However, responses to those emails or texts cannot be sent directly through the watch, and the entire contents of an email cannot be read, just the subject line. It comes with a lot of underlying features, such as, of course, storing your data, both within the watch and also within their app that is available for both Android and iPhone users. A find a phone feature, which makes your phone vibrate so you know where it is. You can tell someone the weather. It has a pressure feature, which I'm a little confused by, and I'm wondering if it has something to do with stress readings that is extrapolated from some type of heart rate variability score. You can play music from it, but the music doesn't play in the watch, it plays through your phone. Same thing with messages and camera. It's controlled through the watch, but it's done through your phone. And then all the data, what can it read? It can collect your sleep data, your heart rate, your blood oxygen level. It can track your menstrual cycle. And it even has something called breath training, which basically just has two different options of a timer to guide you through breathing in and exhaling. Last but not least, you can do a lot of customization with the specific watch. You can change the display screen, the screen brightness, the screen on or off time, so battery saving modes. And you can also change the vibration strength itself of the watch. Now, the in-app feature does let you set goals for tracking mileage, step count, and a calorie burn goal, which are, yes, a few other data points that the watch can collect. So let's dive into my actual experience using the watch and its relative degree of accuracy. I say relative because I am considered a case study. One person. And that doesn't hold a lot of scientific validity because there weren't a lot of data points. It was just me doing this. Nevertheless, let's dive into the first component, step count accuracy. If it's not already available, I go into a deeper dive into pedometers in a different video, specifically outlining the fact that wrist-based pedometers are not going to be as accurate as spring-loaded, piezoelectric, and the placement on a waist. So that being said, my arm movements, because this is probably using an accelerometer, definitely counted as steps. Let's see. It's lying as we speak. 29 steps. That's something you want to be aware of. And for me, using my hands while I talk, you might end up having about 100 extra steps by the end of a monologue. And that inaccuracy isn't Anyloop's fault. It doesn't make it less accurate than Apple Watch or less accurate than Garmin. It's just that that type of technology, accelerometer technology, and that placement on a wrist is going to be less accurate than, as I stated, spring-loaded or piezoelectric type pedometers and the location of in a pocket or on a waistline. So let's move on to calorie burn. I just have to say this. There's been a lot of research citations that find that calorie burn from wearables is pretty much garbage, but I can say it can show you general trends. So whether you're doing this on an Apple Watch, Garmin, or you're getting the calorie burn from something like Fitbit or this Anyloop, look at it from the context of trends from day to day for your calorie burn, not for accuracy, which will make it challenging for people who are trying to be accurate with their calories in, calories out. Now, it seems to me, because I did compare side-by-side Polar's to Anyloop's calorie burn for the same workout duration, it seems to me that Anyloop may be calculating something called net calorie burn, which is subtracting your resting calorie burn. So if you're just existing, the amount of energy it takes to just keep you alive, it subtracts that energy from the total energy, leaving you with a smaller amount that was just from the exercise, compared to Polar, who I know is calculating gross calorie burn, which includes the energy of existence. So naturally, the calorie burn on my Polar device made it seem that I was burning a lot more calories than the potential net calories of Anyloop. However, I do not have that confirmed because it is not listed anywhere convenient from Anyloop if they're calculating net calories or gross. So in the event that they are using gross calorie burn, it is very inaccurate. Now, I do have to state the longer workout duration, if you're comparing to a Polar device, which I was wearing an EKG chest strap monitor, versus the calorie burn on the Anyloop, is that the longer workout you have, the bigger difference in calorie burn you would notice between each device. Now, for those of you curious about how the calories are actually calculated, it's an extrapolation of your heart rate. They take your heart rate data and then they calculate that in using your height and your other biological features, and they extrapolate the data to come up with how many calories you're burning. So that's why you can see there is a degree of inaccuracy, and you should just take all of these wearables with a grain of salt and use them for general trends. That leads me to my next section. Heart rate monitoring. We all know your heart is so important, so why would we want inaccurate data from heart rate? And unfortunately, almost all the wrist-based wearables are pretty inaccurate for heart rate. That's based on two primary reasons. Reason number one is that the Anyloop in particular uses PPG, which is light, which already is considered less accurate than an EKG or ECG device. Second problem is that it's wrist-based, which I will say, to get an accurate reading, even the manual for Anyloop and then any other wrist wearable like Apple Watch will show you that you need to wear the watch below the bones of your wrist. So when you start getting a more meaty part of your arm. The problem is, even if you strap that thing on right below the bones, so they're not on top of them, if you're working out and you're sweating, that watch is going to slide down to the tiniest part of your wrist. It happened to me every time. It went from the meaty part of my arm, it slipped off of it and landed every time on the bones of the wrist. So the accuracy of the already relatively inaccurate PPG light-based system is going to decrease even further because it just changed its position on your wrist. Now, what I will give it credit for, because I did wear the EKG chest strap monitor from Polar, and I tracked my heart rate on the Anyloop Band at the same time, I will say that for BPMs below 100, it was pretty okay, being consistent with Polar's ECG-based metrics. However, when heart rate went above 100 on my Polar, my wrist-based Anyloop seemed consistently off. The scary part is that a couple times it was off by around 30 beats per minute, which for people that really need to watch their heart rate is the difference between a great workout and a heart attack. So just wanted to share that information with you on not solely relying on the heart rate reading, especially if you're trying to target a specific heart rate zone for your training. Don't rely all on the wrist-based monitors. Now, in comparison to the Apple Watch specifically, or rather the later generations of Apple Watch, Anyloop does not have an ECG feature. The ECG feature is different from the actual continuous heart rate monitoring. The ECG feature on Apple Watch can, over a short period of time, show an ECG reading and can help predict certain conditions like AFib. That does not mean that the heart rate is being read by the ECG the entire time that you're doing a workout. It's just during that specified testing period. And that's at least of the making of this video. So keep in mind, if you're interested in that feature that Apple Watch has, that I'll include a research study about specifically for the AFib component in the description of this video, Anyloop Band does not have that. Now let's touch on sleep tracking. Quality sleep is a pillar to optimal health. So being able to track your sleep quality and quantity is a great feature. However, the accuracy of peripheral-based sleep monitors is questionable. Anyloop Band, unfortunately, alongside Apple Watch and other wrist-based peripheral sleep trackers like Oura Ring as well, are therefore considered less accurate relative to some devices like mobile EEG, for example. Anyloop is essentially going to track temperature changes in your body throughout the night. And it may be also including some sensors of movement during your sleep to analyze sleep disturbance. However, for peripheral monitors for tracking sleep, I will include a research study that shows that they are not necessarily as accurate as, say, something like the mobile EEG device, like a Muse headband, for example. If you're interested in more info about the Muse headband, I do have a video about that. I strongly recommend those for tracking sleep over something like a wristwatch. So all in all, the big takeaway from my review of Anyloop is that its accuracy is questionable, just like other wristwatches out there. So when it comes to comparing apples to apples, and all these Apples pretty much have all the same features, why not buy the cheaper, still relatively same quality Apple as the other expensive Apple? However, if accuracy is very important to you, I strongly recommend using different devices. Use the more accurate device for step count. Use the more accurate device for tracking your heart rate. Use the more accurate device for tracking your sleep. But if accuracy is not critical for you and you just want to see general trends, this is an exceptional, cost-efficient, and diverse option for people out there, especially Android users out there who may feel a little neglected by Apple. So I hope you've enjoyed this review of Anyloop's Band 2. And if you did, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, comment for any special requests of video topics, and don't forget to share this video with all those who may benefit. Links to this and research studies are in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and always remember, your health is an investment, not an expense. I'll see you in the next one.